We're a day away from finding out where all the top prospects in the NFL draft, where they're going to be named and where they're going to be playing. And today they were out here at U.S. Steel Community Field, a newly minted field by the NFL and U.S. Steel. And we talked to the likes of Jeremiyah Love. Jeremiyah Love is a guy that a lot of Washington Commanders fans are very high on, and he talked about what he could bring to the table if he was paired up with Jaden Daniels.
The coaching staff was very great. It was like a more of a family type fit there. You know, they took us to Top Golf the first night we got there. Got to learn how to golf. I'm terrible at golf, but I got a few private little private lessons for free. But, I mean, Washington was great, you know. I got to meet some great guys, got to talk to some great coaches, got to talk to a great owner. And, man, I'd be blessed to go there. That's all I got to say. I feel like me and Jaden Daniels would be a very good duo. You know, he's obviously Jaden Daniels, and I would help him be a better version of himself, you know, taking some load off of him. But Washington is great. You know, I'd be blessed to go there.
I had the chance to talk with Ruben Bain, the great defensive end from the University of Miami, and he talked about how Dan Quinn was his coach's coach, and he was talking about Jason Taylor.
Yeah, it was great. It shows how like the world is so small because Coach Quinn was my coach's coach, Coach Taylor. So we get to chat about that, going back and forth about JT. Or I go to JT and talk about Coach Quinn. And Coach Quinn, he's also a defensive like-minded coach, but that's real aggressive in his style of coaching. Man, he's a worker. I got to see that firsthand when I went up there last week. Really had a good time with him. Spoke some real good football, and we just had a good conversation overall. We talked for like an hour.
Did you get a chance to talk with Coach Durante Jones, new defensive coordinator in Washington?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, had a good time. Just conversating, like I say, talking football. All the business you go in, you kind of just speak football kind of all day.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, man, it's just a good vibe, good feeling, and just enjoying the moment.
One of the most talented players in this draft is safety Caleb Downs from Ohio State via Alabama. And Caleb Downs, you know, I talked to him about how he and I spoke in Indianapolis, and he talked about his affinity for Troy Polamalu, a Pittsburgh Steeler great, and then also Ed Reed, a Baltimore Raven Hall of Famer. And he talked about how he patterned his game after those guys, and today we had a chance to catch up. Remember in Indianapolis, you mentioned Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed, you know, all the great safeties, and, you know, your game is versatile. You know, you're a guy that can see things from all over the field. So for an NFL team that's going to call your name tomorrow, you know, what do you think you're going to bring to that table?
Yeah, I feel like you said it, a player that can make plays at all facets of the field and be a three-level player, somebody that can make your defense versatile and change up the looks for offense. So I feel like that, and then also being able to communicate everything I need to and just be the person that I am, I feel like that's a special thing.
Now in Washington, meeting with them, you had a chance to speak with Coach Quinn. You know, what was that like?
Yeah, he's great people, honestly. I had good conversations with him. Got to see him swing a golf club. So.
Now I did have a chance to talk to Jordan Reed, does great work with ESPN. And he mentioned that Carnell Tate might be his guy for the Commanders, but he also said that he would not rule out Adam Peters and company trading back. And pick number 7, we talked about possibly trading back, but if they were to stay there, who's the guy that you think would probably fall into their lap at 7?
Carnell Tate, the receiver out of Ohio State. I think he's somebody that makes a lot of sense for them just because they need to find somebody opposite of Terry McLaurin, and they need some more weapons for Jaden Daniels as well. And Carnell, he's my top receiver in this year's draft. Very smooth route runner, really good hands as well. He has that complementary skill set that works great with Terry as well. So Carnell would be somebody that would be great.
What about a guy like Mekhi Lemon? To me, I had him as my top receiver, but he's a guy people are saying maybe 11 through 15, something like that. Do you think he could sneak into the top 10?
I think it's possible, especially in a draft like this. I don't think anybody is out of the question when we're talking about inside the top 10 from a positional standpoint or player standpoint as well. Mekhi, he's somebody that, you know, was the security blanket for the USC quarterback last year in Jaden Mayava. Only had one drop all of last season. I think he has to transition primarily to the slot, but he can play sometimes outside as well. But the good thing about that in Washington's offense is they like to move around their receivers quite a bit as well. And then you talk about a complementary skill set. I think he's going to be a high-end number 2, somebody that's very comparable to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And we talk about David Blau, new offensive coordinator in Washington. kind of had Amon St. Brown
Yeah.
in Detroit. So we talk about those two being clones of each other,
Yeah.
USC guys. So he could be a fit in their offense.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. Somebody, once again, that's complimentary to Terry. They don't have a bona fide number 2 behind him right now, but the good thing about Mekhi is that he's so formational based of where you can move him around quite a bit, and I think it'd be a great fit there.
And then finally, I'm hearing some things like Jordan Tyson could go all the way up to the top 5. Maybe the Giants look at him at 5. Is that something that you're hearing?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. And the thing with Tyson is that if we're just stacking the skill set and how good each receiver can be in this class, I think he would be the number 1 guy just because he has the traits to be a number 1 receiver as opposed to Carnell and Lemon that are probably going to be complementary number 2s on the next level. But it's just how comfortable are you with the durability with them just because he hasn't finished the season healthy in his career. So if you're comfortable with the medical and you're comfortable with the durability, I think he's definitely worthy of a top 5 pick.
So there's going to be a lot more that we're going to be talking about and breaking down over the next several days. I'll be here until Saturday, so I'll be here for day 1 of the draft, day 2 of the draft, day 3 of the draft. And we'll see if the Washington Commanders, will and deal. We'll see if they do anything to accrue more picks, or are they going to stand pat at number 7. So once again, we're still a day away from knowing where some of your favorite college players are going to end up becoming pros, and we'll have so much more information and coverage of this over the next several hours. So here in Pittsburgh, that's right, I'm here in Pittsburgh for the NFL Draft. I'm NFL insider Lake Lewis Jr.